everyone joining us. We welcome every one of you, no matter where you are, no matter the country you reside. We greet you according to your time zone, and we say welcome to another beautiful weekend on the African Portal Radio TV International. Even though we are having issue with the network on the side of His Excellency, we are just trusting that the network will be fine for him to be able to be with us in the studio. The line is already open and we already established a connection with him, but currently we are experiencing network failure on his side, but we believe that this network will be okay in the next couples of minutes. But let me quickly let everyone know that this is a program where we bring African back on the spotlight, where we speak about the progress and things that we expect to happen in the continent Africa, where we engage His Excellency to talk about the things that we believe that it will be the means of progress for Africa and the rest part of the world. Africa have once been in the spotlight, and Africa have once been the powerhouse of the world, but we believe that Africa can still attain that great level again, and we believe that Africa can still be one of the great continents of the world again. But it's in the hand of every African citizen, both home and abroad, both in the diaspora and also within the Africa. So let's believe in what we are doing, and let's believe that Africa, we can rise above all the challenges that we are facing. And that is why this hour, I will be putting on the spotlight the Supreme Council of African Ancestral Kings and Royalty. And that is live on and direct on the African Portal Radio TV International base here in Victoria. Join us as we put His Royal Excellence King, Professor, Ambassador, Engineer Oyeche Promise on the spot, Obina on the spotlight, to talk about this and also to put some balance to some certain things that we believe that we need to attend to here in Africa. So if you are connecting to this program, kindly share it, let it go viral. The more you share it, the more you give it opportunity to go viral. So before we go to the business of the day, as we are still waiting for His Excellency to connect back, let's quickly do one or two things on the program, and we'll come back and allow His Excellency to address us. But in the meantime, let me quickly open the line and check what we speak about last week. Probably that will also help us in going forward. So enjoy this as we are walking towards the message that His Excellency delivered here last week. We're coming back. Just stay tuned. Don't chill the dial. Let's do it together. Together we can. Together we will. This is African Portal Radio TV International. Hear this. We are coming back to you. Thank you very much, everyone. Welcome back to this broadcast this hour. I really appreciate every one of you connecting. No matter where you are, I greet you according to your time zone, and I greet you to according to your language. Welcome, and be kindly share this program in South Africa. Dumela Ashe Moloi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shalom to everyone, and welcome to the African Portal Radio TV. We are going to be engaging His Excellency on this program this hour, where we'll be talking about the challenges facing the continent, Africa, and challenges facing our day-to-day life in Africa. And also we'll be talking about the language and also talking about the religion, the impact of religion in our in Africa, and also the progress that we are looking forward to in Africa. So please, if you are connecting to this program, kindly share this program. Share it as many times as possible. That is the only thing you can do to make this program go viral. Share it and share it and share it. Thank you and God bless.
Ooh, yeah. Hey. Hey. Say, Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Fit to this kind of thing. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Fit to this kind of thing. Now who they make me celebrate, yeah. Jehovah na you. Now who they make me jubilate. Jehovah na you. Now who they make me rally, yeah. Jehovah na you. Now who they make me dance, yeah. Hey, Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Fit to this kind of thing. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Fit to this kind of thing. Who turned my morning into dancing? Jehovah na you. Who brought me out from the pit of death? Jehovah na you. Who gave me victory over the wicked? Jehovah na you. It took my test to testimony. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Fit to this kind of thing. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Jehovah na you. Fit to this kind of thing. My provider na you. Fit to this kind of thing.
Assertion that democracy we practice in Africa is quite different. People came out.
All right, thank you very much, Excellency. We really appreciate it. And we have a stubborn spirit. We don't give up easily, even though the network is trying to disappoint us, but we still remain optimistic that we are going to do this today. We're not gonna give up, and I really appreciate every one of you that you will be connecting to this broadcast this hour. I really appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much for having patience to make sure that we get connected and to have you on this broadcast this hour. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you. Sir, let's quickly go to the business of today before the network show himself again. Last week, we are talking about the African economy, the religion, and we're talking about the progress that we are looking forward to in Africa. Let me take you with that again this week. Let's continue with the conversation of last week. Let's look at the current economy of Africa and what needs to be done for us to arrive in a place whereby we will also be the powerhouse of Africa, of the world. Because a lot of people believe that let Africa follow China, let Africa follow Russia, let Africa follow America. But we say that Africa doesn't need to follow any of these people. We need to do it in our own way. Let Africa have their own system, their own government, Let Africa do it in their own way for the progress to come to their fatherland. With these people mentioned, there is no progress that is going to come to Africa. Let me leave the line for you, sir, to talk about this.
Yeah, thank you. It's a privilege to be on the spotlight again today, despite the challenges of the network. It's all about Africa for Africa by Africans. And that should be the way forward. You know, Africa for Africa by Africans. That should be the way forward. Whatever you do in life without the representatives of your interest, there is a tendency that the main purpose will not be actualized. And sometimes when those interests are to be represented, you also look at the integrity of the persons who are representing the interest. In negotiating Africa, even in the global space, what has been the integrity of those Africans who has negotiated the economy of Africa, the investment strategies, the viabilities of our land and resources? What are the background, the resourcefulness, the dynamics, administrative dynamics of those people who have stood in to project the views of Africa, to talk about Africa? This is a question we need to ask. In developing Africa, we must identify those Africans who are passionate about Africa, who value the African project, who understands the intricacies of our environment, and who are focused on improving on our values. Not those who are interested in their personal gains, who will talk about Africa because their interest is protected, not the general interest of Africa. So we must reconscientize ourselves to understand whatever decision we take as leaders reflects the general interest of all Africans. And we must begin to project those general interests ahead of our selfish interest. So we must understand this in principle. Then when this understanding is made, things will begin to work. Now, as Africans, in building an internally competitive economy, as a professor in business administration, I want to lay these very obvious foundational facts. Back in the days when we were trading the barter system, the trade by barter, people discover what they have, they explore what they have and exchange it with what they don't have. That is the trade by barter system that, helped our forefathers, our ancestors to trade. And they had value for their goods. You have cassava. This one has crayfish. You know the value of your cassava. I know the value of my crayfish. We exchange the equivalent of such value. You go home, I go home. And the thing is valued across the product chain. There was no greed. There was no misconception. There was no, and overambitiousness to immense or to shortchange anybody. There was neutrality, there was understanding. So for us to strike a balance of understanding of what our problem has been, we must know practically that we lost grip of whom we are, what it used to be, and what it should be. We were Africans who understood the peculiarity of their goods, their commodities, attached value to those commodities, produced them, and exchanged them with the things they needed. Now, in today's perspective, we as Africans, from our communities to our states or province, should be able to rediscover what are economic yields by nature. What are those things our natural environment possesses? Is it palm trees? Are we riverine people that has seafoods? Is it mineral resources? Let us reinvent ourselves again. Now, if your state has XYZ natural resources, it is time to rediscover it, to reinvent it, to exploit an eternally a competitive economy where the values of economic prospects are well understood, projected, and put to bear for exchange. You can have your pounds, you can have your dollars. I have my product, I know the value, and you need them, you buy them. It's literally still a barter system, because you bring your cash, I have my product, we have an understanding of the value of my product, you pay me, you go with my product. So if I don't have anything to market, what do I get in exchange? So most African countries, we have lost our true identity by not marketing that which we ought to, by not re-identifying our God-given resources, be it human resources, be it natural resources. There are a lot that is wasted in Africa. So if you want to talk about refocusing, rebranding, projecting, and rebuilding our economic base, we must go back to the drawing board. We must rediscover that which nature has blessed us with, and we must identify the good hands that is capable of developing these resources, making them marketable internationally, and attracting the right investors who will come in and exchange their resources with our own resources. So if we don't identify those resources, we cannot attract the right investors who will come with their resources to exchange our resources. So we have all it takes on ground to develop the African economy, but we must bring in the best heads to rediscover these resources, add the right value to it, so that we can be able to attract the right investors, market them, and get the value for them. So in so doing, we will be able to project and re-strategize. Because in projecting, you will say, if we have this product for investors to come in. We are projecting that we are going to generate this economic value from this product. And from there, we can be able to budget the projection, the economic projection, and translate it into developmental strides. We have $1 billion out of the proceeds of our natural resources, and we can be able to budget the $1 billion into infrastructure, into human capital development, into a lot of things. So development is something that comes from prospective projection of economic yield. So if you don't have economic yield, you cannot strategize on how to reinvest your economic proceeds. So it is a very simple thing. So we must, as Africans, rediscover what God has given us, project them positively, attract the right investors, exchange them equitably, and be prudent with such exchange in reinvesting it back to our economy. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, His Excellency. I really appreciate that. And that is a beautiful introduction to this program this hour. I want to sincerely thank my team in Canada that are connecting as well. And this program is also live on their space as well. So thank you very, very much. Those of you coming in, please share this program. Let it go viral. This is a platform. This is where we discuss the progress of this continent, Africa. Enough is enough. When Africa will rely on other continents for us to survive, we have all what it takes to stand on our own. We have what it takes to rebuild ourselves. We have the population, we have the mineral resources, we have the human resources, we have the capacity, we have the capability, we have the brain, and there is nothing stopping us not to do it well. The other continents of the world should be the one coming to us to tap from us, to also learn from us, not for them to be the one dominates, that we are the one tapping from them. We should be in charge where they come to, and we have just to give them the token of what we have, not them having all what we have to themselves. Somebody is saying something during the week, sir, that said China is not the solution for Africa, but that China ideology in Africa is advanced slavery. They are looking for a way to recolonize Africa. And that's, many Africans doesn't seem to see it as a problem. Many African leaders shine away from this. So what is the way forward if we want to achieve all these things you mentioned? You have a Supreme Council that is sitting on the progress of this continent. What is your institution doing, and what do you think is the way forward from here for us to be able to achieve all these things mentioned?
Yeah, strong advocacy. Because it is often said that information is power. When you are informed, you grow. When you are deformed, it's because of information. So proper information leads to adequate growth. Now, the Supreme Council of African Ancestral Kings and Royalty, we have made it very, very focal to look into those things that are challenging in Africa, make them topical issues of discourse, thereby preferring solution. It's not about identifying problems. You might talk about issues without preferring solutions to them. You end up making it look much more worse than you met it. So what we have always done is to raise a strong advocacy on issues affecting Africans, which since January will, under this platform, the African Radio and TV portal has been also a very strong partner in trumpeting this advocacy, like what the program we are doing now entails. And I want to appreciate all who find time to tune in, to listen to our topical issues, and also to comment on them. If you don't discuss about certain problems, you can't profess solution to them. So our ability to come out and talk about the problems we face in Africa is also a part of the solution. So, like I said, it is very important we talk about these issues. It is very important we monitor the progress level of these discussions. And also it's very important we draw the attention of those who are responsible for the implementation of these recommendations. One thing is to recommend, another thing is for such recommendations to be implemented. We must at all times bring the attention of government to issues affecting Africans. And such persons who are responsible for implementing these recommendations must be made to understand that their position is very vital. So, in talking about the way forward, countries who have the land resources, vast land for agriculture, cultivation, mineral resources, human resources, and all the natural resources God has blessed Africa with, must be able to connect with the right investors. They must strike a balance with their internal marketing strategy. Let's underline this word, internal marketing strategy. If you don't have a good internal marketing strategy, no matter the level of the external marketers that comes in, they won't be able to do the right marketing. I have a product. I know the things that makes my product unique. And that is the secret of my business. So I will be the one to tell someone those unique qualities of my product that makes it different from another product. And my ability to further research on the best approach to market my products makes those products very acceptable to the open market. So whatever natural resources we have in Africa, we must strengthen our internal marketing strategy. Don't talk down on Africa. That is the message. Don't demarket Africa. Most people, whatever they see that is made in Nigeria, made in Ghana, they say, it is of less quality. But when you see made in Dubai, made in UK, made in US, because it's made in US, so you feel that because it's made in US, it's of top quality. So that is the mentality that is killing the African economy. Whatever that is made in Nigeria, made in Ghana, made in South Africa, it's made in Africa. It doesn't have quality. It won't last. Who tell you that things that are made in Africa cannot last? We have the best animal skin that is being exported out of this continent. The product you see made in Africa, made in US, made in UK, made in Dubai or thereabout, most of the raw materials are from Africa. So if we have the raw material, how come we cannot have the best finishing quality for them? So we must stop demarketing Africa. Our internal marketing strategy must be revisited. We must understand that it is better we do it ourselves, by ourselves, for ourselves, than to allow others to do it for us. Because if others come and do it for us, they will put their brand ahead of us. The expatriates we bring, for instance, even in Africa here, we have companies in construction But any road that is not built by Julius Berger is said to, oh, the road will not last. Because we believe that the roads that are built by African countries cannot last. It's a mentality thing already. So even if an African country tries to build a good road, for the fact it doesn't have the brand of Julius Berger, it's said that, oh, the road will not last. So we have demarketed Africa to an extent that whatever that is made in Africa is not valued. It's not even valued by Africans. Talk more of the Europeans or the Americans. So we must grow a strong internal marketing strategy. And we must begin to attach quality to whatever we do. It mustn't be all commerce affair. The standard organizations of African countries must live up to expectation to ensure that whatever that is made in Africa must be of quality. Our textile industries, our manufacturing industries, they must be properly monitored to meet up to the best standard of practice that is acceptable across other continents, so that made in Africa product can have value. Because even if an investor comes into Africa, for instance, Nigeria or Ghana, and manufactures something, the person will not put made in Ghana or made in Nigeria, because he knows when once he sees it is branded made in Nigeria, the thing will not have the right market value. But if they come to Africa and do something and put it made in US, you see people will rush and buy it. So already we are not attaching value to ourselves, to our products. So others will not attach value and importance to it. So we have to correct the all commerce affair thing that you just come, you produce anything, we have the population in Africa, it will enter the market, people will buy it, whether it lasts or not. That mentality needs to change. We must attach value by making sure whatever that is produced in Africa has quality. When you spend your money, or when I talked about from the introductory aspect of this interview, I spoke about rediscovering, reinventing, and revaluing. Now, it has also come to play out here. When you don't revalue what you have, when you don't attach more value to what you have, when you don't bring them up to quality of acceptable standard, it will not be an economic viable product that is acceptable by anybody who is in need of it. So we need to do the mentality thing by ensuring that whatever that is produced in Africa has a standard, a marketable standard that can be used by anybody. I want to cite an instance before I drop this segment. There are quality of shoes that are made in Aba, which can compete with some footwears in the world. There are people who has understood that when they say made in Aba, they say, oh, it's made in Aba. And they want to change that narrative. So they have gone further to look at why are people complaining about made in Aba. The population of goods produced in Aba can service the whole of West Africa. Footwears, clothing can service the whole of West Africa. But when it is written made in Aba, people don't buy it. So even if they make it in Aba, they put it made in China. They put it made in US. They put it made in this, that. So they are producing it here. They are marketing it here, but they're not marketing it with their own brand. They're marketing it with another brand in order for those goods to have quality of service. So when Africans attach quality to what they do, they'll be proud to market their own brand. And by so doing, the African brand will have a global acceptable trademark. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. That's a lovely response there, and I really appreciate you for that beautiful response. So let's look at some of the raw material that we have in Africa and some of the equipment we have in Africa. We have a lot of companies in Africa that is a foreign companies manufactured in Africa. Like let's see Yamaha, for instance, making a lot of money in Africa because every church, every mosque, everybody wants to buy Yamaha products. But when you introduce an African drum, maybe gogo, maybe any African drum into this market, they're like, no, we don't want to buy it because it's this is demonic. So systematically, some of African products have been tagged with a kind of name that, oh no, we can't accept this in this environment because it's demonic. But in the same environment, they are using microphone, they are using guitar, they are using organs and stuff like that. But when you introduce Africa musical instrument like a drum and stuff like that, people become kind of very scared about it. What can we do to correct this, and what is the solution to this?
Yeah, thank you. I want to say this without looking at anybody's feelings. You see, there are churches in Africa that are helping the African content. You see, if you go to Roman Catholic, you see, even in the church, they have some African drums in Roman Catholic. And even in some of the Orthodox churches like Anglican and all these Orthodox churches, they use African drums. They use the trumpet, the African flute, the African talking drums and all that. So they use it because this is Africa. And the people understand their rhythm and everything, and they enjoy it. So it is all about the Pentecostal thing. The Pentecostal version of Christianity came up and began to abolish everything in Africa. When it has an African tone, it is diabolic, it is devilish and all that. It is a mentality thing. If you go to Brazil, some of their worship center uses their local drums in Brazil. And they worship the same God. Go to other climes. They use their local talking drums, instruments to worship. But here I want to be like UK, want to be British in everything we do. But the fact that Britain colonized us doesn't mean that we should recolonize ourselves by abolishing everything that is African. Our talking drums should be an African thing. Our system of worship should be in an African way. When you pray, you should pray in your African tongue. Now, some people speak in tongue. Those things you study and you replicate. Do you know what it means? You speak Latin, you speak this, you speak that. Do you know the language you are speaking? You just learn and you begin to blab. You don't know whether you are cursing yourself. You don't know whether it's a curse. You are just reciting what you don't know. And tomorrow you say you are afraid. Pray in your local tongue. Pray with your local instrument. Praise God in your local way. And you see, you get more answers and more blessings. Some churches, if it's not Yamaha, like what you said, or any of the foreign instruments, they don't admit it. Even on exhibition, they don't want anything Africa. If there's a way you dress in African way, they will not allow you to enter their church. In your own attire, as an African, you dress as an African, you want to enter the worship center, they say, no, you can't dress like this here. What madness! What stupidity! It's unacceptable. It's not acceptable. So let us relocate to Britain. Or let's go to Europe. Let's leave our ancestral lands and move. I know that we are no longer Africans. For the fact that we are in Africa, we are eating from our soil, we are living in our local environment, We must represent Africa in all we do. Why are you not eating the foreign foods? Since you want to be a foreigner in your land. So abolish everything Africa and start behaving like the British. That is it. This is the high level of stupidity, high level of myopic thinking, enslavement. You don't want to be you anymore. You want to be another person. Some have changed their names. They no longer answer African names. They don't want to identify with anything in Africa because you are born again. It is quite absurd. It is crazy. You have killed your identity. You have killed your originality. You are just as empty as an empty vessel. When once the leaf of a tree falls out of the tree, it can be blown away by any little wind. And that is why you see people dying anyhow these days, because they have lost the protection and immunity of their ancestry. Let me tell you the simple truth. The way people are dying in Africa these days is because they have been disconnected from their roots. So any small attack gets to them and they die. A leaf that is still attached to each tree cannot be blown away easily by the wind. So by the time you disconnect yourself, you don't want to be Africa. You don't want to answer your family name. You don't want to identify with your ancestry. Directly, you have disconnected yourself from your root. And you can die a miserable death anytime. There are families that have immunity for longevity. They live, if you are a member of that family and you die below 80, they will say it's a taboo. So they take it that their family have longevity, they live on where they live 80, 90, and there is no premature death. They say our family will don't die public. Do you know why? Because there are some forefathers has made with the land of their ancestors to protect them. So if I identify with my family, I don't want to answer my family name, I don't want to be identified with my ancestry, you have denied yourself. You have removed yourself from those covenants. So the covenant of longevity will elude you. The covenant of health will elude you. Any small thing, infection, it catches up with you. Any small attack, you are gone. So the earlier the better we Africans understand the rich cultural heritage God and nature gave us in Africa, the better for us. Some go to church, they say, bring some from your family. They do a ritual. They say, you have denounced your family. You have denounced yourself. You have killed yourself if you don't know. So every tree must rely its life from its taproot. And our taproot is our culture, is our tradition, is our originality. So whether you're a religious person, whatever you claim you are, your ancestry is supreme because that is your root. That is your root. So you must lay supreme your livelihood, your identity, and everything you are to your root. And that is how you can have the blessings of the land and God Almighty who created the land. The Bible says that the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. The earth is the Lord. What is the earth? Your ancestry is the earth. It's the earth. So if God himself says the earth is of his and the fullness of the earth, who are you to condemn the earth? Who are you? So it is quite unacceptable for some doctrines that people come up and they begin to brainwash people. There are churches before they don't watch television, but today they are now watching television. So those people that were deceived, that destroyed their television and every technological advancement they had in their sitting room before, what apology do you have for them now that you have said, okay, you can watch television? So you don't do things that tomorrow you will not be proud of. You can't defend those things anymore because you feel you had the opportunity to deceive people, to brainwash people, and you do it in an extreme way and make life very miserable for them. It's quite painful and it's quite unacceptable. So the earlier we change our mentality in Africa, the better for us. Thank you.
Putting up there. I really appreciate it. A lot of people are connecting with us, and I'm talking to some people behind the scene enjoying the conversation. And this is one of the things that is affecting our economy. That is why African economy is not growing, because Africa, we are not buying African products. That is why on the African portal we say, eat Africa, wear Africa, and dress Africa. Because by the time we start promoting our own products, using our own homemade products, we are boosting our own economy. We have the population, and we should be able to come together, help ourselves, buy from ourselves, and produce what we eat. We should not be a continent that we are consuming. We should be producing, because the more we consuming other people's products, the more our economy is going down. So this is the program that is letting us know that it's important for Africa to embrace African products. When we can be able to buy our own products, our economy will pick up and we will be able to contest with other continents of the world. Sir, we are about to round up, but before we round up this section for this weekend, I just want us to quickly look at the issue of us using the what we have in Africa as a mineral resources, like our crude oil, our palm oil, and stuff like that for our healing. Because that is another thing that we are not really embraced. Our leaves, our roots, our trees, we are not using them for our healing. We spend a lot of money taking people to abroad for medical checkup, medical treatment. When Africa, each and every land have its own healing through, or having their own medication through their root or their leaves. Sir, I just want us to talk a bit about that before we call it a day today. Then we'll continue with that next week.
Yeah, thank you. I want to say clearly, this is a topic we'll look into carefully and discuss it in depth. And this topic has to do with the family values. So by next week, we'll be talking about the African family values. Because in the family values, we'll be able to understand how we existed as a people. Because health is wealth. Health is the epicenter of all human endeavor. If you are not healthy, you cannot engage in any human activity. So it is a topic we'll be able to look into and discuss it in-depthly by next week. But however, we as Africans, our system is highly related to our environment. There are some medications you get from abroad, it might not work rightly here. Take, for instance, the time of COVID. The vaccinations worked in some places, but when it came to Africa, it didn't work as it worked in other places. Some of the drugs they brought here failed test here in Africa. But they won't let the public know because they are trying to protect the global practice. Because the World Health Organization has already endorsed it. So who are you to counter what they approved? But sincerely speaking, Africans were treating themselves with our roots and leaves. We are treating ourselves. Bird flu in Africa is a normal thing. When we are growing up, our local birds, when it gets in contact with flu, we just slaughter it and eat. It's a normal thing. Nobody throws the birds away. But bird flu became a global sickness that you ban eating of birds because there is flu. But people were still eating the bird and nobody died because this is Africa. We are immune. So there are some kind of drugs that won't work here. So, but when we invent our own locally made medicines, it works because our system is used to it, our environment accommodates them, and the body stimulus and reactions are quite in cognizance with those locally made medicines. And you see, the healing effect is quite encouraging. But the conventional medicine practitioners will not allow you to say the truth about this matter because it's a bad market for them. They wouldn't want to project the African medicine practitioners because when they do, people will rush to them and they will lose the market. So they will always want to talk down on African medicine. They want to demarket it because they know it is a bad market for them. So, but Africans, you know,
I'm sorry to cut you short there, sir. I just want to quickly engage you on this because you mentioned something very important, and I just want us to engage on it before we call it a day. Before you round up the what you are talking about, if you look at China, China used most of their products to boost their economy, and most of their products in other parts of the world, including their food, people are demanding for it. Why African won't become so different that our herb, our food, is not something that is really being put out there for other people to believe in or for other people to embrace? Why?
It is a global thing. When an economy is booming, every economic activity around the economy booms. Initially, Chinese medicines were nowhere in the world. They were nowhere. But recently, Chinese medicines are all over the world because the China economy received a boom. So that boom era, everybody rushed, embraced China, and began to follow the China economic trend. So their medicines had investors, their electronic sector had investors, everything about China transformed. So if the African economy booms, our medicines and everything will be acceptable globally. So that is why we keep talking about ensuring that we have a booming economy. An economy that people want to come in and accept with whatever we have. So that's just the solution to it. So with a working economy, everything around the economy works. The pharmaceutical industry, the health sector, everything will work. So let's focus on making the African economy work and everything around us will work. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much. That's a very valid point there. And by the grace of God, next week we are continuing with this conversation, and with this same topic, we are going to elaborate it more and we are going to work on it more, because what we have in Africa when it comes to food, when it comes to our herb, when it comes to our roots, is enough to boost our economy. As a matter of fact, everything in Africa is money. Everything in Africa is growth. Our land, our sand, our hair, our welder, everything about us is blessing. But we are not turning it in the right direction for it to give us a good result. And that is why we are behind the line. That is why they keep us as one of the low developed country in the world. That is what they believe, that they can do anything and drop it here in Africa because we embrace it and we buy it. And now it's time for Africa to rise against that and let us believe that our whole product, our whole things, our whole raw material is for us, and we need to start promoting it. And that is main reason that we are putting this program together. This program is not to destroy anybody's system or to talk less of anybody, but this program is fully focused on African growth, on African economy, on Africa development. And that is what we are clamoring for. We want Africa that will be able to feed himself. We want Africa that will be able to use its own product. We want Africa that will be able to benefit from its own economy. And that is what this program is all about. And I really appreciate every one of you connecting to this broadcast this hour. I sincerely appreciate it. I remember what we used to tell this program: Eat Africa, dress Africa, speak Africa, and this will bring growth to Africa. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Let me just allow you to say goodbye to the listeners. Then we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, Dare. It's always a pleasure to bring Africa on the spotlight. So we have had another very intense section today, and I want us all to stay tuned to next week. We'll be looking at topical issues bordering on the African continent and ways to keep appreciating what God has made out of us, and for us to further redevelop our people, our continent, make it more viable, more investment destined prospects for everybody to come in and embrace the African project and be a part of it. Thank you for this week's edition, and I want to say, like we always do, I see otu ọkụkọ nwada nwa ọkụkọ nwee ngwongwo ọsọ. Ọ okirikiri ka a na-agba ukwu ose a na-arị elu. Mana si Chineke kere igwe, Chineke kere ụwa, mee anyị awụrụ ndị Afrịka. Ekele dịrị ya. Ekpere anyị na-ekpe wụ ọ ga-adịrị anyị na mma n'ala Afrịka. Ọ bụrụ igbu anyị ga-egbu onwe ya. A sị ọbịa aka anyị abịakwutela anyị, ọnwa akakwana anyị agaghị eri isi anyị. Ekpere anyị na-ekpe n'ụbọchị bụ ka Chineke kere anyị mgbe anyị abụrụ ndị Afrịka, ka ọ ghara ikwe ka ebumnobi ndị ọjọọ, ndị a na-ekwe ka ha ọma bịa n'aha anyị, ka ọ bịa na mmezu. Ya na-ekpe ekpere ogologo ndụ, ahụ isi ike, ịbụrụ onye a mụrụ n'ala Afrịka, kwado omenala anyị, kwado ọdịmma Afrịka, kwado ọganihu Afrịka. A sị nke anyị bụ nke anyị, kwere ekpanụ na nke anyị kacha mma. Ofe nne tọkachara, ekwela ka ofe ndị ọzọ karịa ka nne gị ụtọ. Ọ bụ ihe nne ji zụọ gị bụ ihe iji eto. Ya bụrụ si nne gị adịghị nyekọba gị nri nkarị, ị ma bụrụ onye dị ndụ, he ma eji zụọ gị ga-abụrụ mmanụ ka bụ ihe na-akọja. N'ebe kenyi n'ụtụgharị uche, na-ekwula ka nwanyị lụrụ alụ kara gị ihe ị ga-eme n'ụlọ gị. Anyị bụ nna nwe ụlọ dịka ndị Afrịka, ha ebe ala anyị nabatara ndị ewe, ndị kwuwe gị ji bịa ka a na-ekpere anyị ihe anyị ga-eme n'ala anyị, nye ekwe ọdịnmọdụ. Ka anyị tụgharịa uche mee ihe dịka ndị Chineke kere n'ala wee, na anyị na-eme ka ọganihu, ogologo ndụ, ahụ isi ike. Ọ sị ndụ mmiri ndụ azụ, mmiri atụrụ azụ amụ. Ebe bere ugo bere ka esi ibe ebele nkwukwa ya. Ihe ya achọ n'ala Afrịka bụ ọganihu Afrịka, ọdịmma Afrịka. Onye si ikwe anyị bụ ndị Afrịka, ọ dị ihe nye bịa n'anya, ọ ma bụrụkwanụ heke ya, ka sụ ugwu nkwa nwaanyị mụta ibe ya. Ndị ebe ka anyị si eme nwa ikwe mere ibe obi adị ya ma ya na-asị Chineke mee ka ndị Afrịka bụrụ ndị a ga-eji na-ama atụ ọganihu, ogologo ndụ ọhịa ya achọ n'ala Afrịka. A gaziere onye ihu, gaziere onye azụ. Ndewonu.
Wow, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. That is who we are. That is Africa. Thank you very much. Siyabonga Kakulu, to everyone listening to this program. Eshe, thank you, and I really appreciate every one of you. We'll see you again next week by the grace of God. Keep sharing it. For everyone that will be watching this later, kindly share, like, comment, let it go viral. This is the place where we promote African culture, African language, and African products. And keep it up by the support from our great leader, the Supreme Council of African Ancestral Kings and Royalty, and His Excellency H.R. King, Professor, Ambassador, Engineer Oyeshe Promise. We say thank you to every one of you, and we will see you again next week by the grace of God. Thank you very much, sir. Have a beautiful evening, and God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, then.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right, everyone, this is how we're going to be drawing the curtain, and we'll see you again by the grace of God next week. Keep sharing it, keep talking about it. This is your one-stop media house where everyone have you. Say, if you want to call us, you can call us on +277033584. Africa will be great when we do it in another way. If we keep on doing it the way we are doing it, we'll be getting the same results we are getting. But let's do it other way around. Let's embrace ourselves. Let's believe in ourselves. Let's trust ourselves. Let's promote ourselves. Let's buy Africa. Let's eat Africa. Let's speak Africa. Let's believe in Africa. Let's make this continent great again so that our children will be able to embrace this beautiful continent and believe in this beautiful continent, in our music, in our way of dressing, in our food. Let's embrace our African way of life. Let's celebrate Africa and let's believe in Africa. God bless Africa and God bless everyone in Africa and the diaspora. Keep sharing it, keep talking about it. It's coming to you from the African Portal Radio TV International here in Victoria, South Africa. If you want to speak to us or you want us to sponsor, to advertise on our space, call us on +277033584. I will see you again next week. My name is Dare Olusa. Lágbára Èdùmàrè ire lójú owó ire nílé ire lọ́dẹ̀ ire tí ẹ bá wà ẹ bá wá fi ètò yìí ẹ máa bá wa ránṣẹ́ sí gbogbo èèyàn ká gbogbo àgbáńláyé. Èdè wa, àṣà wa àti ìṣe wa kò sí ní tó dáa tó òun náà la ń gbé ga lórí ojú òpó yìí. Ẹ bá wa ṣe ẹ jẹ́ ká fi tiwa ká fi gbé ti lárugẹ ilé iṣẹ́ ńláńlá yìí olókoòwò kéékèèké ẹ tí lọ́dọ̀ àṣẹgi ọlà fún ẹ tẹ́lẹ̀ gbé tiwa lárugẹ máa pọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ wẹwà polówó ọjà yìí. Ìpolówó ọjà ṣẹ́kọ̀ọ́ náà ni àgúnmu òwò orí the African Portal náà ní kẹ́tiwá polówó ọjà yìí kábà yín tọrọ kábà yín tẹnubọ̀rọ̀ yín kí ìbùkún kó lè bá wórí ọjà yín. Gbogbo ntẹ́lẹ́dùn bá gbélé wa lọ́wọ́ ire náà ní já sí ire ní kó máa jẹ́ tiwa o. A máa bẹ ọ̀bẹ ní bẹ́ṣu ìran àtẹ́lẹsẹ̀ náà ní í ṣe ń bẹ́nà wò. Àwọn lọ o á padà wá lágbára Èdùmàrè ire lójú owó rí ire náà láàmà rí ẹ bá jábọ̀ bọ̀ òun náà nìkan là ní dé bá ń lé. Àwa ní àwọn Ọlọ́run náà gbé wa lógo akalẹ̀ ojú òsì ní ti ẹnìkọ̀ọ̀kan wa. Ayọ̀ àtàlàáfíà láfi pàdé lọ́sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ o lóṣù tó ń bọ̀ lágbára Èdùmàrè. Ó dìgbà míì ó dọjọ́ míì ó dọjọ́ rẹ̀ ó dàbọ̀ o. Ẹ máa ṣíà ẹ máa dáta lógúnlógún ẹ máa dáta lọ́gbọ̀nlọ́gbọ̀n ẹjọ́ lọ ká gbogbo àgbáńlá ayé ẹ jẹ́ ká mọ̀ wípé orí àtàgbé tó ń wà yìí the African Portal náà ni kò lẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́ ó dá dúró ni bíi àwò gédéǹgbé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tó ń bọ̀ lórí the African Portal ẹ máa bá wa ṣíà ẹ máa like ẹ after the rain yóò máa padà wá sójú òpó ètò yìí náà ní ìrọ̀lẹ́ òní pẹ̀lú ìyá wa àjọsẹ̀ láti orílẹ̀-èdè England. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ nípò tẹ́lẹ̀ kan náà ẹ máa gbọ́jà yín bẹ̀ wá polówó lọ́dọ̀ wa ojú òní tiwa o ire ayọ̀ àtàlàáfíà náà ni kò máa bẹ́ẹ̀ ní kọ̀ọ̀kan wa gbé ìpolówó ọjà yìí ẹ gbọ́ ká máa fi hàn ká máa fi ṣe kíni ká máa fi ṣe ìdàgbére kó lójú.
K1 the ultimate, the king of Fiji music. Yeah, I'm calling on everybody, music lovers, young and old, to join us at the O2 Indigo, the 6th of May, 2023. It's going to be a night to always be remembered. For tickets, contact Seraphim, especially the younger age. You get the best of ticket connection through him. Special ticket from the king himself. Get Seraphim.